Hello, Jen Gibbs here, founder of the Utah Shores Real Estate Team. And a big part of what we do is educate our clients, both buyers and sellers. And today we're talking about the unrepresented buyer disclosure. And I'll give you a brief summary of that document and kind of translate the legalese for you so you can understand what it says. So basically the beginning of the document, it just goes through kind of fill in the blank. It's identifying who is doing which part of the transaction, just so, you know, on paper, everything is very upfront and clear, right? Transactions are more clear when we have everything written down and the understandings are black and white. And so basically it just says this is the name of the buyer, this is the name of the seller, this is the property we're referring to, and who's the agent that is representing the seller of that property, and then the broker or the company that's representing the sale of that property as well. So the first paragraph in bold, I'll just read it word for word. When you enter into a discussion with a real estate agent regarding a potential real estate transaction, you should, from the outset, understand who the real estate agent is representing in that transaction. What follows is a brief but very important explanation regarding agency relationships and the real estate agents involved in this transaction. So basically we're just going to spell it out. It just says, hey, pay attention. It's important that you know who each person is has loyalties to, right? And who they're working for. So the seller's agent, a real estate agent who lists a seller's property for sale, or the seller's agent, acts as the agent for the seller only and has fiduciary duties of loyalty, full disclosure, confidentiality, and reasonable care to the seller. So in practical terms, the seller hires a seller's agent to locate a buyer and negotiate the transactions with terms favorable to the seller. So I hope if you're watching this as a prospective buyer, you're seeing that if you call me on a sign and we do not have an agency relationship in place, you and I as a buyer and agent, that we represent the seller, and everything we do has to be kind of slanted and biased toward the benefit of our seller, and that's by law. That's our fiduciary duty legally. So this is just kind of spelling that out for you. And the seller's agent is by law responsible to all prospective buyers to treat them with honesty, fair dealing, and good faith. So I'm not going to do anything unethical in working with someone that I don't represent, but this just disclosures to you that I'm biased toward the seller. That's my job. The buyer's agent, on the other hand, if you're watching this as a potential buyer, your agent would act as an agent for the buyer only, the buyer's agent, right? And has fiduciaries the same to that buyer that a seller's agent has to the seller. In practical terms, the buyer hires a buyer's agent to locate a suitable property, and that's going through and kind of filtering lists, taking you on property tours, unlocking you and letting you into the property, and all that kind of thing, and negotiate a transaction, so helping you through the documents as a buyer and that kind of thing, in terms favorable to the buyer. So a buyer's agent will be loyal to just their buyer, and so if you're the buyer, and you should know that it's pretty standard, majority of the time, any kind of fees are paid by the seller. So a buyer's agent is usually free to the buyer, right? So that's a great service. You have someone to negotiate for you, to kind of be your concierge, show you around, set up all these properties. Lots of benefits to having a buyer's agent, and no downside, no cost to you as a buyer, right? So that's a fantastic situation. Although the buyer's agent has these fiduciary duties to the buyer's agent by law is responsible to all prospective sellers to treat them the same way, with honesty, fair dealing, good faith, and that kind of thing. Agent of both the buyer and the seller. So this third paragraph, it talks about a real estate agent can, with prior consent of the buyer and seller in writing, so there's a document that would explain and agree to that, represent both the buyer and seller in the same transaction, and that would make them, instead of being a seller's agent or a buyer's agent, it would cause them to become a neutral or limited agent, is the technical term for that. A limited agent has fiduciary duties to both the buyer and the seller, and the limited agent is also limited in a separate duty. Obviously, I can't completely advocate for my seller and completely advocate for my buyer if I have both, and so I become neutral legally in my loyalties, and I just help facilitate the transaction very neutrally and help everything move smoothly to close. Now, on our particular real estate team here at Utah Shores, I am Jen Gibbs. I'm the buyer specialist and marketing person that focuses mainly on the listings and helping my sellers sellers net the most they can from the sale of their home, right? That's my job and I'm great at it. And because I'm focused on that, I typically do not also represent buyers. There are other people on my team that would become the buyer agent in that situation if we were to connect during a transaction, and they could have their complete loyalty be to you. We share the same brokerage, so there would still be a document in effect that our broker would be neutral in that situation. But then you would have your own agent for you as the buyer to be looking out for you, to be seeking advantages for you, negotiating for you, letting you into the properties, putting together good situations, pre-qualification, and a stronger offer, like just with you in mind. So again, tons of benefits to having your own buyer's agent. But if we were to work together on both sides of the transaction, that term, if the agent was the same, would be limited agent. Confirmation of agency in this transaction. So this is just a short one-page document, and I'm kind of going through it in detail, but that's, you know, part of the education process that we do. And so it says the property shown above, so this property that we're talking about, is presently listed for sale through the company. So that would be, in this case, KW Westfield Keller Williams Real Estate. And consequently, the company and the agent representing the seller. By signing this, and this is in all caps, so you just really understand clearly, by signing this unrepresented buyer disclosure, the buyer, which may be you, acknowledges and agrees that the agent and the company will only represent the seller in this transaction and as a seller's agent. The buyer acknowledges that the company and the agent have advised the buyer that the buyer is entitled to be represented by a buyer's agent who will represent only that buyer. The buyer has, however, elected not to be represented by a real estate agent in this transaction. So just basically saying that we've explained the benefits of having your own buyer's agent, and if you choose to be independent, some people do. I really don't know why, because there's so many great benefits to having a buyer's agent advocate for you and seek advantages for you. But you know, everybody has their own flavor of how they want to do things, right? So if that's you and you've chosen, maybe you've called on a sign on a property that we have for sale, and you're asking us to open the door, or maybe you're just kind of looking around, looking on behalf of someone else. But if that's the case and you have not scheduled the time with your agent to come, and for example, maybe we're opening the door for you or something like that, then this just is a document that says, hey, we've explained how the buyer agent role works and the advantages to you, and that you have that total right, and you can definitely afford one if it's free, right? Paid for by the seller, for you to have your own buyer's agent advocating for you, so that it just says that we've done our job explaining to you that you can have those benefits, so that you're not making any decisions unaware of what your opportunities and rights are. And it says that you understand that we are going to be biased toward the seller. That's, again, our job. That's what we've been hired for, right? Is to represent the seller and help them market their home. And so this document is one of the choices. And so I, for obvious reasons, I think I made it clear, I would recommend against being unrepresented. Just, there's so many advantages to having someone help you through a transaction. But should you decide to go that route, that's an option. What I would prefer and recommend is taking a look at working with one of the great buyer specialists on our team. They're trained to help filter out kind of the riffraff, the homes that maybe don't qualify for exactly what you're looking for, helping you find those homes that would be relevant to you. So using your time more wisely, efficiently, and just providing great service, making it fun. Again, it doesn't cost you anything to have the benefits of working with an agent. We've got some great agents on our team, and if that's not a fit, you know, there's other great agents out there. So, so your choice is go ahead and get a great agent to help you on your home search, or sign this unrepresented buyer disclosure if you're going to be touring through one of our properties. So I hope that that answers your questions. And if you have other questions real estate related, we're always here for you. There's a link you can call or text or email us, whatever your preferred method, but we would be happy to help you move forward and have a great positive transaction and transition in real estate from wherever you are now to the perfect place. So thanks very much. Do be in touch if there's anything we can do for you. This is Jen Gibbs with the Utah Shores Real Estate Team. Have a great day.